Hello, we're here with Esther Trunel, and we are here to discuss the portrait of 3 generations of Esther Trunel's family. Hello, how are you today?
I'm fine.
Okay, well, we'd like to know, first of all, your name, age, and the number of years that you were married, and the education that you have had.
My name is Esther Trunel. I'm 81 years old, and my great-grandfather that lived across the valley came from Germany. My great-grandfather on my mother's side, who came from Palomar, is from England. And my husband and I were married in 1948. We celebrated our 60th anniversary a year and a half ago. We lived here in the valley almost all of our lives. I was born in San Jacinto. Don was born in Long Beach. We met in high school, and we were high school sweethearts. We were engaged when I was a senior, and he was going off to Germany in the Army. The war, the Second World War was just over, and he spent his time in the service. He can tell you about it in Germany. And then when he came home in 1948, we were married in my parents' home, and we went to San Diego to finish our education. Don get his high school diploma that he missed out on, and I was completing my college education. I graduated from the San Diego State, and I taught school in our one-room school here in Alonga called Cottonwood. And my father had gone to that school, as well as my brothers and I. And I taught school there off and on for a good many years. Don, in the meantime, we lived in the teacherage that was built at the school for the teachers to use if they wanted to. And by the next year, we had fixed up one of the homes on the ranch here. And that's where we lived and raised our family. We farmed. Don put in alfalfa and sprinkling systems, and did a lot of growing up. I had 3 brothers, one 8 years older, one 18 months older, and one 8 years younger. And when the war broke out in 1941, my oldest brother was in the Navy, so he went through the war, and that, of course, was a great time in our lives, because he was on the islands in the Pacific, and then my brother that's just Don's age, he went into the service, he went in the Navy, and then Don went into the Army, and he never got into the war either, but he was in the service for a time. Our area was affected a lot by the war. We had boys going and coming. We had an observation post at the Awanga store, a little building that they put up, and we observed any airplanes that went over 24 hours a day, and we called in to March Field with that information. I served on it. It was a big deal for me. I was in high school, and my girlfriend and I stayed up all night.
What your occupation was as a wife and mother, and also the number of children that you had in their occupation, and how many children did they have?
All right. My occupation, as I went into college, I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to teach in the school where I went to school, because my husband and I were both committed to this area, and that was the best job that I could have in this area that would fit in with our lifestyle. Don was committed to farming and ranching, however we could make a living here. There was always the Forest Service as a backup to the boys that my brothers and Don and even my father worked for the Forest Service off and on seasonally. In the meantime, Don and I moved over onto the ranch where Don had improved a building that was there. He jacked it up and put new foundation, and then he jacked up the roof and put on a new roof. And over the years, he just kept improving on it. But he also improved the land. We had some cattle, and he raised alfalfa and did whatever was good at the time. He baled alfalfa, we fed alfalfa. Then when he chopped alfalfa and hauled it into San Diego. When you're talking about this many years, things change. We raised potatoes, he raised beans. She was about, probably 6, 8 months, and I would take her in her stroller out and park her beside me, and we had a conveyor belt. The potatoes that we were raising, we were sacking them, and I would sew the sacks. So Eileen sat here, and I would sew the sacks. And that was my income as a teacher, helped, and all of these other things still. And so we had a hired man for most of the time. And so I'd say we had a comfortable living. We never thought about, certainly we were rich, but neither were we poor. It was just as life was. Then we sold when the children were up in elementary school. Chris was only 2 1/2 when we sold the ranch and went to Oregon and did a couple of other things, and then came back and I started teaching again, and then Don decided it'd be good if he had a well rig. We acquired some property around, and thought, well, if I drill a well on it, that makes the property more valuable. I can get more out of it. So he bought a well rig. Well, it was at a time when the economy was getting better and better, and people were buying little pieces of property, and so they wanted a well on it. And this little beginning became a very good business. We finally incorporated. We had many employees, and it got so involved that I stopped teaching to take care of the office work for the corporation. So this really snowballed for us and made us more comfortable in our income. So that I think I could comfortably say we were medium. Eileen, after she graduated, she wanted to go to San Diego State, and so she went to San Diego and went to college and got married after about a year. Married Tom Gresham, and she graduated from San Diego State also. She graduated as a medical technician and went to work in the hospital pretty soon after that in the Temecula area, actually in Hemet, but they lived over in Quail Valley. They had 2 girls, and Eileen continued working as a med tech in Hemet, and then moved on over to Menifee Valley. And her children grew up in Menifee Valley and in Temecula, went